Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you like this episode, please remember to hit the like button and leave a comment or two, then subscribe and click on the bell to receive notifications of whenever we release new videos. Also, please remember to share them to your social media. Welcome back to Scary Bear Attacks. Today's episode takes us to the beautiful backwood trails of the Red River Gorge in the Daniel Boone National Forest in the great state of Kentucky. The Pincham-Tight Trail rolls along cliffs and forests, allowing hikers to immerse themselves in the sights and sounds of nature to their heart's content. The geography here is rolling hills covered with dense forests of oak, hickory, maple, and pine trees. Wherever the trees don't grow, you might see hackberry, serviceberry, or mulberry bushes, yielding their bounty of delicious and nutritious berries. Along the sandstone-rimmed creeks, you'll find white-tailed deer, squirrels, and wild turkeys, with an occasional possum thrown in here and there. Predators in this area include bobcats, coyotes, and the ever-growing population of black bears. Around 2:15 p.m. on Sunday, June 27, 2010, 56-year-old Tim Scott was enjoying a hike with his wife and their adult son. They'd come up from Springfield and planned some relaxing time in the woods together. Tim was a property manager by trade, but enjoyed getting into the outdoors whenever possible. He wasn't packing bear spray, nor a firearm on this hike, as there aren't many dangerous animals around here. And prior to this day, there had never been a black bear attack on a human in modern history in the state of Kentucky. Tim was a few hundred yards ahead of his son and wife, but was accompanied by the family's blue heeler dog, Lucky. As Tim and Lucky climbed a short cliff to take in the view, he felt Lucky pull on the retractable leash he was tethered to. Out of the corner of his eye, Tim could see a big, dark blur that seemed to be moving slowly. Tim turned around to see a large black bear only 25 feet from him and Lucky in the middle of the trail. He took out his iPhone and snapped a few quick photos of the bear, thinking it would be gone before he knew it. Tim was planning on calling out to his wife and son to warn them, but before he could yell, the black bear began walking casually toward him. Tim knew that he didn't want to have a confrontation with any animal, let alone an enormous, powerful animal with huge claws and a mouthful of sharp teeth. He retreated slowly down the trail, away from his wife and son, with the bear slowly closing in on him. After retreating a short distance, Tim figured he would yield the trail to the bear. Perhaps it was simply trying to get past him, and he was in its way. He turned and left the trail and hiked several yards into the forest. As the bear approached the spot where Tim left the trail, it turned right where he did and continued to slowly stalk him. It was at that point that Lucky got a little anxious. Tim could see his dog was terrified of the bear and was about to panic. I've never seen a dog panic, but apparently Tim didn't want to see it. He released Lucky's leash and the dog bolted away from the bear. Lucky wasn't one of those dogs that would lay down his life for his owner. As the bear approached him, he took a few more photos with his iPhone. At one point, the bear had crept to within 3 feet of Tim. He knew he had had enough of being this bear's fascination. He took off his day pack and dropped it to the ground, hoping the bear was drawn by some scent emanating from it. As the bear approached the day pack, it paused to sniff the pack for a few seconds. Then it stepped right over the pack and continued to stalk Tim. As if the prior events hadn't frightened him enough, Tim was now growing very worried. He bent over and picked up the nearest weapon he could find, a limb from a pine tree, about 6 feet long. Tim continued to retreat slowly, trying to maintain the gap between he and the bear. He struck the bear several times with the pine branch, breaking off several inches each time, but the bear was deadly focused on Tim and couldn't be deterred. He next dropped his hat, then his cell phone case, trying to get the bear to focus on anything other than him. Nothing seemed to work, as the bear continued to step closer to the man methodically. While retreating, Tim had backed up to a small cliff. He'd had to step up a small ledge and turned to ensure his foot placement. The bear took this opportunity to lunge forward and quickly bit the calf of Tim's lower leg. It was a very quick bite, and the bear let his leg go immediately afterward, but Tim knew this bear meant business. It wasn't just curious or trying to get past him. Tim maneuvered himself behind a small tree, hoping the bear would have a difficult time getting at him. Before the man could think of anything else to avoid being attacked by the bear, it lunged forward and dug its canines into the back of his right thigh muscle. The first bite seemed to be just to get a grip on him, but then it dug its teeth in very deep. The bear tossed its head back and forth in a clear effort to tear Tim's flesh from bone. The bear bit Tim several times in this fashion, tossing him around each time and ripping deep gashes into his thigh muscle. Suddenly Tim remembered he had a pocket knife in his pocket. The problem was that the bear's front leg was posted up on the same pocket. Tim grabbed the bear's paw and moved it off of his hip. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his pocket knife, now desperate to stop this bear from biting him more. He knew he would have to stab the bear somewhere that would limit its ability to continue to attack him. As he unfolded the blade, he decided to stab the bear in the eye the next time its head came close enough. Tim felt it may be his last hope of stopping the bear from killing him. It was right about that time that a small group of hikers approached the bear attack. Among the hikers was 28-year-old Anthony Goebel from Fowler, Indiana. He was a service technician who climbed to the top of wind turbines to repair them, and was fit as a fiddle because of it. He was 200 pounds of solid muscle, and wasn't afraid to confront this bear to stop the attack on Tim. Somehow the group of hikers had managed to get the bear away from Tim, allowing him to crawl toward them. Now Tim and the hikers began to slowly retreat back along the trail that the bear had stalked Tim down. Now the bear didn't exactly like this, and continued to methodically stalk the group, remaining only a few feet from them. Anthony took up the rearguard position, standing between the bear, his friends, and Tim. The bear's new fascination was Anthony. After all, it was this man who had interrupted its meal, and now would have to pay the price. The bear swatted and bit at Anthony, but the fit young man was able to dodge each advance. The black bear suddenly lunged at Anthony, but just as it did, he swung his backpack with every bit of force he could muster. The backpack made a loud whacking noise as it struck the bear in the head. The bear was stunned by this and backed off a few steps, trying to avoid another backpack blow. For the next half-mile, the bear continued to stay within a few yards of the men, always menacingly and methodically walking toward them. Eventually the bear decided he could find easier fare, and disappeared into the brush just off the trail. Anthony took this break in the pursuit to remove his belt from his waist and improvise a tourniquet on Tim's bleeding right thigh. After the hikers rescued Tim from the clutches of the hungry bear, Tim was rushed to the nearest hospital for initial treatment, and then to the University of Kentucky for further treatment. It took around 60 stitches to close his wounds, and the next day he was very stiff from being tossed around by the bear, but was told that should all go away in about 6 weeks. A mere 12 hours after the beginning of his hike, Tim was released from the hospital to heal up at home. In describing the bear, Anthony said that it had to be around 400 pounds. He described its head as being bigger than a basketball. He stated his actions were something he didn't think about, but that he acted out of instinct. He concluded by saying that he felt God had put him there at that moment for a reason. After some time mulling over his attack, Tim stated that this bear attack wouldn't keep him from hiking in the future. He continued by stating that bears have a right to do what they do, as the forest was theirs before it was ours. Tim described the bear as a bad bear, and that there are an awful lot of good bears out there who shouldn't suffer because of what one bad bear did. The Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife decided that the bear that had attacked Tim would have to be killed. A black bear was spotted in the area in the following days, but there was no way to confirm it was the same bear that attacked Tim. They set culvert traps out and firmly believed that the bear was still in the area due to their quick action to close the park to visitors immediately after the attack. The lack of hikers on the trail may keep the bear from feeling pressured into leaving the area, as well as prevent a second attack. In Kentucky, black bears were common 100 years ago, but due to habitat loss and overhunting, they had all but disappeared. Bears from the neighboring states of Tennessee, Virginia, and West Virginia have made their way into Kentucky and reestablished local bear populations. Between the years of 1989 and 2006, U.S. black bear populations more than doubled from 165,000 to over 350,000, according to the International Association of Bear Research and Management. They claim that Kentucky's bear population is now somewhere between 100 to 350 black bears. Well, folks, that was an interesting episode. After reviewing the facts surrounding this bear attack, I'm left with a few questions for you. Given that this bear was never found or killed, do you think that we may be hearing more about black bear attacks in Kentucky? What do you think the bear's reaction would have been if Tim had stabbed it in the eye? Do you think this was a predatory or territorial attack? What would you do if a huge black bear slowly followed you on your next hike? I will be glad to read and reply to your thoughts, so please post them in the comments section below and let's talk about it. Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider clicking on the like button and clicking on the bell icon. It will help you know when we post our new episodes.
Posting our video links to your social media profiles furthers awareness, and it's fun. We slashed our prices in our merch store, linked below, so check out the bargains there while you shop. As a member of our human community, remember to adventure bravely and be careful out there, especially in bear country.